What's going on, you guys? Pete's Boy Anthony here, and today we're going to react to a video today. We're about to go react to Creepy People Encounters Animated Horror Stories by DarkAce Animations. So, hey guys, this is probably going to be my last and final video for today, because I don't want anything. If I react to a video, then the next time it'll get lousy in the background. So I'm just gonna call it a last day for today. I'll probably make lots of reaction videos tomorrow. I'll post some of it on Friday, and I can post some of it on Saturday, post some of it on Sunday, and then continue reacting to it on Monday, because I only like doing reaction videos Mondays through Fridays in my spare time. So let's go ahead and continue reacting. DarkAce Animations. Okay, like, comment, and subscribe. Yep, that's how you said that in every video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Creepy People Encounters Horror Stories, story number 1. Let's see.
When I was 11, my family lived in Alaska, about 14 miles north of Anchorage.
Alright.
As soon as you leave the actual city of Anchorage, you're in the wilderness pretty quickly. This event happened to me in the summer of 1977.
1977?
During that time, the town I lived in
That's like,
was actually just a series of roads
44
and
years
off-roads.
ago.
Most of the people there commuted to Anchorage for work. That's what my parents did. They both worked nights, meaning I spent most of my time alone at home. Given that I also
in
don't have any
1977, my mother would have been 2
our house
years
was
old
about a half mile away from the nearest paved road and surrounded by woods. I didn't have any real friends that lived close by. I just knew a kid who lived at the end of my road, though. His house was actually the next closest to mine. One afternoon that summer, I was watching TV when there was a knock at our side door. I looked outside and saw it was the kid from the end of the street with someone else. I opened the door, and he told me this kid was his cousin, whose family had flown up from wherever they were from to visit. I can't remember the kid's name, but I do remember immediately being nervous around this guy. He had blonde hair down to his shoulders, wore a t-shirt under a thin leather vest.
Right.
He also had one of those wallets on a chain. This kid's eyes were dark
That
as
is a very
I was
cool
11 and hadn't even
1970s
seen
stereotype
evil
that
before,
I have ever
but this
seen.
kid set off something in my brain. The boy from down the street even seemed nervous being around him. He said he had told his cousin about my BB gun and how cool it was. I told him to wait outside and I could get it. I just knew I didn't want that kid in my house. I got the BB gun and went outside and handed it to the weird kid. He rolled it over his hands and looked up and down without his expression ever changing. Without handing it back, he asked me, "How much do you want for it?" I can't remember my reaction after all these years, but I didn't really need money and the gun was a gift. So I told him it wasn't really for sale, and I remember apologizing for some reason. Unfazed, the kid hands the gun back to me, then reaches behind his back and pulls out the biggest damn knife I had ever seen. I remember thinking for a second that it was a sword.
God.
The kid said, "How about a trade then?" I shot the BB gun at cans. What was I going to do with a knife? Hunt a grizzly bear? I declined the offer nervously.
That is a very
and the kid turned
creepy
away
story
and started
that I
walking in
ever
the direction
heard.
of their house. So I went back inside and watched some more TV.
Ah, come on, stupid ads!
Harry Potter. All 8 movies. Streaming now.
Explain to me this.
You got the school, the spell, the...
Shut up.
About an hour later,
Wow,
there was
you're
another knock
watching
on the
cool
door.
1970s TV. Oh, another
I go to our
doorknob.
side window where I can see the door. I peek out, and sure enough, it's that kid again.
That kid
This time,
again,
he was
wants
alone.
the freaking gun.
The second time he knocked was louder. He called my name.
No.
I stayed quiet.
Get out.
He left the door
Poor
and started
stalker.
walking around our house.
You are a
My mother had a
stalker,
sunroom
scary
where she grew
kid.
plants. It had large windows all along the wall. I saw him go to those windows, press his face against the glass, trying to see deep into the house.
My God.
I stayed out of sight.
Oh.
Luckily,
my
there were no lights
God.
on, and I had turned off the TV when I heard the knock.
Ooh.
When he couldn't see anything, he continued around the house. He took out that huge knife and began tapping the butt of the handle along the outer wall as he circled.
Get out,
Then he started saying,
sir.
"I know you're in there." My heart started racing. Of course, he knew I was in the house. I was 11, home alone. How could I have left the house?
Yeah. 11
Hop
years
in the car
old,
and
home
take
alone,
off?
and your parents are on
Hell,
vacation while
both our cars were gone anyway.
I'm sure your kid
I continued
is
keeping
outside
low
your
and
house.
quiet, hoping he might think I went to a friend's house somewhere else. How long could this psycho just circle the house?
Call the police.
He was maybe 14. He'd get bored pretty quickly. No such
This
luck.
kid's 14
This
years
kept
old.
up for about an hour.
Wow.
The tapping and his voice telling me to come out, and that he had another trade for my gun. Screw that. I'd already gone all in
Screw
on
that.
the "I'm not home"
You
tactic.
really have
So I stayed
a
quiet
lots
and made my
of
way to the
sharp
kitchen where our one telephone was.
equipments.
This was 1977.
Yeah,
No cell
1977,
phone. And our
it's
phone
the
was attached
creepiest
to a
year
wall
of the
in the
year
kitchen.
because
Luckily, it had a
there's a
super
lot
long
of cool
handset
stuff back
cord.
in the 70s.
I got it, stayed low to the floor, and called my mother at work. She took me seriously, but there was no way she could get home.
Yeah,
My dad was in the Air Force, and they sure wouldn't let him skip out early to handle his son's crisis. I would have to ride it out. The sun had gone down, and by that, I mean it was barely peeking above the horizon. In the summer, the sun never completely went down in our area. The kid kept pacing around for another 30 minutes or so,
my
and then was
God,
suddenly
this
gone.
kid is so
Not being an idiot in a
creepy.
horror movie, I just stayed down and quiet. Eventually, my parents got home. I was still awake. They brushed it off because I ended up being fine. But I never hung out with the kid down the street again, and I pretty much stayed inside the remainder of the summer. There was something wrong with that kid. Maybe it was in my head, or maybe he would have done something absolutely brutal to me, just for that damn BB gun.
Okay, story 2. What place did it took this time? Or what year? What city?
For the record, my wife and I are pretty normal folks. We don't do drugs, we're social drinkers,
Yeah, thank God
but
you
let's just
don't
say
like this
we
kid
don't
in
have
the
a lot of
last
friends,
one.
except other couples with children. So basically, we don't drink that much. All that to say that when this event took place, we were absolutely lucid and not under the influence. I'm 200% sure of what I saw.
Is she pregnant?
My only regret is that I didn't record it or took pictures as evidence. It was summer 2013. My wife was 5 months pregnant, so
Wow,
we decided
I
to look
knew
for
it.
a nice house to rent
Okay,
in
so
the
the second
countryside.
story took place in
We browsed a well-known
2013.
website and found a small villa near a
In
vineyard.
2013, I
The
would
owner
have been
called us
9.
very quickly.
9 years old.
We will call him Gerald. Gerald was a fellow in his late 50s. His picture on the website
In
displayed a posh guy
2013, I
wearing
was
small
8 and a
glasses.
half and fully
He was
9
really
years
caring
old.
and nice. After a little research on the internet, this guy was running an art gallery.
Really?
He told us he wouldn't be there to give us the key,
Ah.
but a colleague would welcome us. The day we arrived, a Slavic woman in her 40s was there. She gave us the keys, jumped in her black sports car, and left. It took
Wow.
5 minutes. The house was beautiful. We were so excited to have so much room just for us. 15 minutes after the check-in, we were having a drink by the swimming pool. Something felt weird about the house, though. It had clearly been furnished by a home staging designer, as
Wow.
everything was perfect and new. Somehow,
Yeah,
the
I never
frames had
figured
generic
that
pictures
place was
inside,
so
like stock pictures.
perfect. Oh.
The poses seemed too unnatural, and you couldn't recognize one person from a picture to another. My wife decided to store our empty luggage on the top of a big cupboard, but she clumsily hit a little box and made it fall on the floor. It contained 2 pencils and a keychain with 2 small keys. We put it back where it fell from and started to feel hungry, so we went to cook dinner. The weather was lovely.
Well,
On that
we
very
tried to be
night, we
careful.
stayed on the roof and watched the
careful
sunset.
and don't
Then
break
my
your
wife felt
water.
exhausted and went to bed. I was reading on the roof when my eyes got stuck on a small staircase behind the pool house. I tried not to pay attention, but ended up heading for that staircase. The stair led to a little cellar. It was a dusty and smelly corridor with a solid oak door at the end. That
That's
door was
creepy.
closed by 2 padlocks. I realized I wasn't minding my own business, so I went back upstairs. 1 hour later, I was still thinking about that door and what was behind it. I suddenly remembered the keychain with the 2 small keys. Now it was obvious. I couldn't help going back there to try the keys. Once in front of that door, it was now sure that the key would match. The padlock gave in 2 seconds.
Why do you always have to start an advertisement in every time I'm reacting? Are you trying to get me in trouble?
When I opened the door, a strong smell hit
YouTube
me.
really needs to stop
like mold
doing
mixed with
advertisements, even though they
It was
use
clear
money,
I
but
just
this
entered a photo lab.
This is copyright.
On a shelf, hundreds of pictures going from nudes to hardcore
Oh
pornography.
my god, this is
On
creepy.
5 of them, I positively recognized Gerald with a black woman. She was attached to a rope by the wrists. Utterly shocked, I found 2 plastic boxes with photographs of teen
Please
pornography.
get out of that
By
corridor.
the writings on the
You know that's
pictures, it went
creepy.
from 2004 to present days.
2004?
Near the
That's
red
the year
room,
I
I
was
found more
born.
pictures of very violent bondage scenes. The woman had bruises and cuts. There also was an old camera and a dozen tapes, but my heart was already on the brink of
Ooh, that's
explosion,
creepy.
so
Old
I didn't watch
camera?
any of these. I closed the door
Possibly
and sat by the
filmed
pool
in
for
1970s
45
or
minutes.
1980s.
I needed to put all back together and decide what to do. I showed the pictures to my wife, and we left the house the very night. We called the cops on our way home, and they told us they'd keep us informed. They never did. 1 week later, I had a message on my phone. It was Gerald. He apologized to us, stating everything I saw was staged. He insisted he worked for magazines and sometimes they ordered shocking pictures. I never believed an inch of what he said. Neither did my wife. I called him back to tell him he had to refund us, as the website asked him to do, but he never answered. I called him again 3 weeks later
He
to
is
ask him
such
to
a
refund,
creepy
but I reached a
guy.
grocery store instead. There was absolutely no more trace of that guy on the internet. To this day, we don't know for sure still. Every now and then, we bring it up knowing we'll never have an answer.
Okay, now that is creepy. Oh my god. First, that 14-year-old kid tried to stalk that 11-year-old in that house home alone. And the second story, that guy freaking had shock images in the corridor? Oh my god, that is very creepy. It's creepy, alright, because it says creepy people encounters. So that is very creepy, so they're right. Okay, well, that's gonna be it for right now, you guys. So we subscribe, Pizza Boy Anthony. Okay, love y'all. Life, eat pizzas. I'll go react to it later.